Tuesday, May 21st. There are 64 days until San Diego Comic-Con 2024. Welcome to SDConCast, the official podcast of the San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog.
VANUHTWE go. Oh my god, I love Live Journal, and my Live Journal loves me. Current mood is hyperactive. Current music, refuge 73. I love the color scheme in pink and purple.
Hello, everybody. I'm your host, James Riley, and joining me on the podcast, as always, Carrie Dixon.
Hey, guys. Thanks so much for joining us.
And also joining us this week from Legion of Sand, Robert Warners.
Hey, everybody.
And our special guest tonight, Valor and Vellum herself, Priscilla Wilson, artist and designer. All right, so welcome, everyone. Things are speeding along right towards Comic-Con every week. So we'll take your comments and questions during the show. You can tweet us at SD_comic_con or use the hashtag SDConCast. We'll be keeping an eye on the YouTube live chat if you wish to comment or ask questions there. But first up, let's talk to Priscilla. And Carrie, why don't you kick us off?
Well, first of all, Priscilla, thank you so much for joining us. We are huge fans of your work, so we're really excited to talk about all that with you. And on that note, you're known for your original characters within our crowd, Soonay and Toratai. Can you talk a little bit just about like how those two characters came about?
Yeah, so it started out because like I'm actually a collector myself. It's kind of funny, because like I think you consider like exhibitors and artists to be the types of like, kind of off in their own world, but I actually started out as a collector, kind of alongside being an artist. And so with that in mind, it was always kind of a dream of mine to have a designer toy, at least a designer toy, because that's something that I personally love to collect. And I would love to have like, something of my own. So I spent some time, and it was like during a time when I was working on like a Kickstarter for something entirely different. And I was thinking, okay, if I hit like a certain secret milestone, nobody else knows about it, but if my Kickstarter hits like a certain amount, I'm going to use some of that money and seed like, the whole, and it's expensive and it's time consuming, but I'm going to fund my first designer toy. And so I actually hit it, and I spent some time like just sketching out ideas. And, I kind of find that I draw like a lot of tigers and I draw a lot of foxes. So it just kind of came to me that like, hey, maybe I should go ahead and do something that's kind of like a kitsune, which is a supernatural fox in Japanese folklore. So that's how Soonay came about. And I tried to do something a little different. Obviously, she doesn't look exactly like a fox. A lot of people think she's a cat, which is fine. But it's stylized because like I was looking at kitsune masks, which have a much shorter snout and have, very like stylized depictions. So I tried to do something like that. And then also kind of combine it with the kimono because, they're known to also morph into like, human form or other forms. So I tried to like combine that. And then even the name Soonay is derivative of kitsune. I figured most people may not be able to pronounce that. So Soonay kind of like spelled out almost like phonetically, I thought would kind of help with that. And I thought it was just kind of like maybe kind of a cool sounding name. And then the double O's, because I'm also a graphic designer, I was like, okay, that would make for a fun logo. So that's how Soonay came about. And after that, I just was kind of messing around on my iPad and like came up with the idea for Toratai. And then that ended up being my second toy. And as I mentioned previously, I draw like a lot of tigers. So kind of made sense to have like the two things that I draw the most often be like the two designer toys. And then, after like I was afraid, it was so scary like doing them because you never know how people are going to take it. Like, they might not, they might be like, oh, cool. And then like nobody buys it. And you're just kind of like, oh, okay. But very fortunately, I had people that were on board right away and bought stuff. So I was like, hey, why don't I start making more like merchandise? And, so I started doing like pins of them and like, all kinds of different like stuff that you would see in an artist alley, but with my original characters. And I feel like the designer toy was what kind of like spurred it on and kind of got people like into the idea of like buying the merch and then the art prints too.
When was your first figure?
Oh, it was actually a pandemic project. 'Cause-
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, I
yeah,
feel like it was not that many years ago, but I wasn't sure of
no.
the exact year. Yeah.
I think like I think they're about 3 years old. Because yeah, it would have been like around 2020 when I started working on it. And then I think it was 2021 when it launched. And I launched actually it's kind of funny. I launched both of them at different times for WonderCon. And so Soonay was launched during WonderCon at home. That was the debut. And then Toratai was I think the following year, and it was also around WonderCon. So they have like almost the same birthday.
That's fun. That's really
Yeah.
fun.
Priscilla, talking about like WonderCon at home and conventions. When did you start using conventions and other art shows to sell your creations?
My very first one was in 2018. It was DesignerCon, which I didn't even have toys back then, so I don't know what I was thinking, like signing up for this, but it was the first show where I was just like, yeah, this show is really cool. I'm gonna sign up for it, see what happens. And I actually got in, and so I ended up getting a full booth. I was absolutely not ready. And if you guys, I know you guys love Little Shop of Pins too. They're really good friends of mine, and we actually split that DesignerCon booth. So, that way I wasn't like doing a full 10 by 10 all by myself, which would have been just like even more nuts. But yeah, it was an interesting experience, an eye-opening experience. And, just I wanted to keep going, even though like I don't think I even broke even that show. And you don't really expect to your first shows, but I was just like I got bit by the bug and I had to do more and I wanted to keep learning. I was like, this is like so cool because like, again, I'm a collector too. I love conventions from the attendee side. So being able to kind of get this peek behind the curtains and be like, wow, I get to see conventions from a completely different perspective was just incredible. And I couldn't get enough. So I kept signing up for more shows and just kind of learning and, building and growing as much as I could.
Well, on that note, so let's talk a little bit about your convention history. When was your first show? Do you even remember that you just attended?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I remember it was 2008 and it was actually like I just went right for the big guns right away, San Diego Comic-Con.
Yep.
And it was before I got really into collecting. So I was going more from like almost like a casual observer and it was overwhelming. I'm sure we all remember our first Comic-Con where it was just like, what is this? Like this is
Yeah.
like there's just
Yeah.
like so much like visual stimulation and just like, oh my gosh, like even just going outside the convention center is overwhelming. There's just so much to see, so much to do, so many options. And like, even if you're just going like, casually, it's a lot. It's still a lot and it's amazing. And you go once and after that, you may as well just keep signing. Like, you're going to keep signing up. You're going to be going because you can't not go after you go one time.
Absolutely. Well, and I don't know about you, but I'm the same way. San Diego was actually my first convention ever.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I feel like I did it wrong because nothing else compares.
Or we did it right from the beginning.
We did it right. I think we did it right. So to shift gears here, one of my favorite things, honestly, about your work is that all of your variants are truly different. It's not just like you've slapped on a different colorway. Like I was dying the other week over your C2E2 ones that had the hot dogs for the Chicago hot dogs. I was like, this is so clever. So what is your process for how you sort of come up with the variants for each show?
Honestly, like sometimes it's different things. Inspiration can kind of strike you anywhere. Sometimes I'll just like like I kind of hoard materials. Like I keep buying more and more like, pigments and glitters and things like, I'm like, oh, this could be pretty. And I keep buying it. Or if things go on sale, I buy everything that's on sale. And then it just sits there. And sometimes I'll go through it and be like, oh, I can make something cool with this if I combined it with that. So sometimes it'll be inspiration from just like the materials themselves. Other times, like for the Chicago dog Soonay, I was just thinking, well, Chicago, and I've actually like visited Chicago before. So I was like, okay, they're known for two things, pizza and hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
And then like I was kind of toying around with like I'd like to do something kind of food related, but I wasn't sure. And so I was streaming on Twitch, and somebody who is in my chat that's also a streamer and is also kind of known with his crowd for like I don't know why, but he loves hot dogs a lot. And he was like, "Oh, you should do a hot dog Sune." And I was like, "You know what? I should.
That's
Like,
perfect.
why not?" And it was actually funny because it was like it took me forever to find miniature hot dogs. Like, I don't know if you've ever looked for miniature hot dogs. I'm sure you have, but they are really difficult to find. So it took a while to get them, and I actually had to get them from overseas, and it took like 2 months for them to ship over. But I was like, it's worth
Oh my
it.
God.
And that first cast, when I opened up the mold and saw it, like I just started cracking up. I'm like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever done. I hope people like it. I'm laughing at it. I hope other people laugh too. And people seem to I got some reactions. Probably the most reactions from just like, stranger like attendees walking by and being like, what the heck? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is their first like introduction to Sune. This is and I had to explain like it doesn't usually have hot dogs. But yeah. So, inspiration could come from that, or it could just come from like a road trip where I'm coming back from a con and just thinking of ideas. And sometimes just like, that whole like you just go from one thought to the next and it just kind of like comes together. So yeah, like just anywhere really, inspiration anywhere.
All right.
Wow.
So
I thought that was genius.
They're so silly.
circling back around to conventions themselves, so you mentioned that Sune premiered during WonderCon at home, which of course was during the pandemic. So how important is it for your business to have the option for in-person events?
I mean, really, the pandemic taught us a lot, I think. And I guess it kind of showed that like something good can come out of something really bad. But like it also, I mean, it actually gave me a lot of time to like kind of get ready because I never even did pins before that either. So pins were also a pandemic project in addition to designer toys. So the whole time I was just thinking like we didn't know when things were going to open up again, but the whole time I'm like, okay, as soon as the shows open up again, I'm excited, I'm ready to go. I'm going to have all these new things. And like once they started, like it was just, online sales were good, during the pandemic, but once the shows started, it was just night and day, like just so much better when you can like actually interact with attendees. You can meet each other, you can explain your process, they can ask questions, and seeing something in person from, I've been looking at it obviously because, I'm making it, but like attendees, like being able to walk up and, we're tactile creatures, like being able to like pick it up and look at it and hold it and like actually see the materials and see like, craftsmanship and all of that. It makes, I think it makes a huge difference. It makes a better experience, I would say, for all of us. So yeah, I would say like they're so essential, and it's kind of like, I don't know about you guys, but like, well, I think it's the same for all of us, really. Like that's our life. That's our lifeblood. Like we need them.
Absolutely. Yes, we would all agree. So having been to your booth before at Comic-Con and having met you, you always come across as very welcoming and inviting. How do you find being a good salesperson something that comes easily to you, or do you have to work at it?
Oh no, I'm like really introverted. So it's like really like my social battery is just kind of like, woo, like through the day. So it is like, it's something you have to work on. And it is something that I've actually noticed like other artists, because a lot of us are introverts. It's something that you do have to work on. It's a skill. Like it's not some people are talented and born with it and can just do it, but you can still learn it. It's like art too. Anybody can learn to draw, and anybody can learn to be like a salesperson. And honestly, that kind of came out of the pandemic too, because, remember back in the pandemic, we had two things. We had, for social time, it was Animal Crossing and Twitch. And so I leaned heavily into Twitch and Animal Crossing too, of course. But Twitch, like I actually started streaming and I was like, I'm just gonna try and get over my fear. And like, trust me, I had a big fear of public speaking, being like, the focus of attention, things like that. So I'm actually kind of grateful because like it pulled me out of that, and being able to just stream and talk into the void by myself, and knowing that there's an audience out there watching, like that helped me a lot. And it helped me, I think, like hone in the skills that I needed once we did open back up to shows, and be able to talk to people and not just sit there and clam up and be like, what do I do? What do I say? Like, what do I do with my hands? So I think like that did help a lot. And with like, as more time passes, doing more shows and stuff, you just kind of like get a better gauge and a better feel. And like, you can kind of tell if people want to talk or if they want to maybe just be quiet and shop quietly. So yeah, I guess that's been my experience with like the whole salesperson aspect.
Priscilla, you mentioned you've been doing conventions for a few years now, but how do you think San Diego Comic-Con specifically compares to other events, and what kind of pros and cons are there for doing such a big show?
Oh, I mean, I would say it doesn't compare. Like, you can't compare anything. I know New York Comic Con, love New York Comic Con, tries to compare, but really nothing compares. I mean, there's no other con that takes over an entire city. Like, you could just walk out to a random restaurant in Gaslamp and it is dressed up too. Like, even the restaurants and shops are in cosplay. Like, you don't get that at any other show. You don't get like the numbers and just like the enthusiasm and the crowd. Like, you can just feel it when you're walking around. Like, you can make your next best friend in line, like, the person standing next to you. Like, where else can you do that? It's almost like we're all coming back into our childhoods, and you're thinking like, remember when we were all kids and you could just make best friends with anybody just because you're playing together? It's like that. It's exactly like that. It's everything we love. All the people we love, people that like, in normal circumstances, everyday circumstances, it would be like, oh, I'm socially awkward. Like, this is the place where like, these are your people. Like, like this, it's just, and you don't always get that at other shows. Like, sometimes you do, you get hints of it, but not to the aspect that San Diego does. And I mean, I don't even know why, but like, it's its own beast, and it's a beast we love.
Absolutely. So one thing I'm very curious about with your exclusives is, I know that Comic-Con has very strict policies regarding official exclusives, but you've managed to have some incredible official stickered exclusives, including like last year's wallet with the Hall H for Soonay. Can you just tell us a little bit, for it, because I'm assuming most of our readers probably don't know what sort of the process is to get those to be officially stickered, and if there's any hoops you've had to jump through, or if Comic-Con has just been very welcoming and open to your ideas.
Yeah, so I mean, going back to me like being a collector, I knew the value of having that official sticker, and so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna ask. Like, why not? Like, shoot my shot. The worst they can do is ignore me or say no. Why not? I'm just gonna ask. So I sent an email to my contact and said, hey, I would love to do like an official exclusive. Do you know who I need to reach out to? What's the process? Would you mind like sharing information? And so they gave me the contact email of Mike Stoltz, who is I think it's like PR, but he handles a lot of the licensing and all of that. So I reached out to him, and, he was super nice, and he said, he just gave me this like bullet point list of all these things. Like, if you want to do an exclusive, we need to see, of course, like some mock-ups, images, see, what you have in mind. We need to know, things like what's the edition number, how much you're going to sell it for. Is it for like certain ages, or is it all ages? Just like all these and it's a pretty lengthy list. So I was like, okay, thank you. I am going to work on this. And fortunately, since I have a graphic design background and we've worked on presentations for pretty big, like corporate kind of clients before, I was like, okay, I know what to do. I'm going to put together a whole PDF presentation and just put everything, all the text he wanted. I'm going to put all my mock-ups. I'm going to put the packaging. I'm going to put, here's the sizes of the logos and the stickers and what I propose. That way it just hits everything all in one neat package. And I don't know that like other artists or exhibitors necessarily like do that. Maybe they just send an email with, just like, here's a bunch of files and, some text or something. But, I was like, no, I'm just going to put together, something that makes me look more professional than I actually am. And because I'm just a little artist, so I'm like, I need to try and like look, I'm like, hanging out with the big boys now. I need to look good. So I sent that off. And I think the first time I did it, he had like a couple of notes, and it took like probably about 2 weeks for them to give me a response, because it sounded like maybe there was, I don't know if there was a whole team looking at it, or, they're also very busy too.
Yes.
So yeah, so a couple weeks later, they had some notes about like, oh, you should change the text here, or like, so I was like, okay, easy, done. And so, I just revised it and I sent back the presentation that was, edited, and then they were like, yeah, good to go. And so at that point, and I don't know if people were curious if like San Diego Comic-Con supplies the stickers or if we do. It's us. So I have a friend who has his own little printing company called Pretty Good Printing up in the Pacific Northwest. And just sent it. I was like, I want like vinyl stickers, good quality stickers. And, here's the list of, here's the artwork and here's all the sizes and stuff. And then, once I get that back, then I can work on the packaging, and I do put it all together by hand. So when you see like, say a pin, like I'm, punching the pin into the card, I'm putting in the clear bag, and then I'm putting all of the stickers, and you have to put all the legal information and stuff on there too. So that's like kind of the entire process from start to finish. And it adds a little more time. Fortunately, the licensing is free to use their logo, on the packaging. So, there's that. But I would say it's definitely worth it if any other exhibitors or artists were thinking, watching this or listening to this and thinking, hey, maybe I'd be interested. 100% worth it. Like, because to collectors, they want that souvenir, that reminder that like, I got this at San Diego Comic-Con this year, and here's the proof. So, it's just invaluable, and I would recommend it to, anybody.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that, because like I said, I think that's a process that most of our readers have no idea about, but I'm always interested to know more.
So you mentioned obviously you're a collector, you're a fan of things, and you're on the other side of things, being a vendor and exhibitor. What are some of the things that you collect, or what are some of the fandoms that you enjoy engaging in?
So I started off more with like, I'd say probably Funko Pops were like the gateway. Did I say that? The gateway, and so that kind of got me into collecting, and it was actually at one of the San Diego Comic-Cons, and here's why. One of our friends was like, oh, it's impossible to get into their booth, and my best friend and I are like, challenge accepted, because you can't tell us what we can and can't do. And so we were like on this mission to be like, we're gonna prove you wrong, we're gonna get in that line. And we did. And I bought a pop, and then and now I have way too many, way too many pops. They're everywhere. And then that just kind of led into other things that led into designer toys, which are even more expensive, but at least they don't take as much shelf space sometimes if you get like the little ones and take them out of the box. It led to enamel pins. I buy so many, or trade. Actually, now that, I'm doing more shows, that is a benefit. It is a thing. Artist Alley artists will usually do trades towards the end of shows. So that kind of saves some money and, kind of helps feed the addiction too. So, that, and then stickers, and now it's just everything. It's a slippery
Do you-
slope, you guys. Don't buy a pop.
Do you have any favorite artists or vendors that you always just as a fan try to go visit at conventions?
Oh, I mean, Patrick, of course. Anytime that I know he like just this last WonderCon, I like snuck away from my table for a bathroom break and like went over and like bought some stuff. Yeah, so him for sure. And then I end up meeting like, other artists who are super talented just because like we tabled next to each other. So, there's been a lot of those. If you guys know Edwin Huang, he also goes by Iron Pinky, and his wife Jenny Illustrations are both super talented. They're both in Artist Alley as well. Big fans of their work. I've actually bought some of their stuff, and they're always like, "No, just take it." I'm like, "No, just take my money." And then, it's actually a lot of friends too, because like Little Shop of Pins, as I mentioned before, and like Brian Cook too, but some things. He's a good friend too, and love his work as well. So yeah, it can be pricey, but a little less pricey if you become an exhibitor or an artist, because again, trades. So that helps. But yeah, of course, if I can get into like the Funko booth or any of those guys, like I will try and make that happen.
Yeah, it's always a rough process.
Mhm.
And speaking of a process, you have one that you've changed up over the years, how people get your exclusives.
Mm.
And I'm guessing that's an effort to make it more fair for everybody to be able to get the exclusives. What factors into how you decide how the exclusives are distributed, and how hard is it to create a system that is like as fair as possible?
It's been such a work in progress, honestly, because like I mean, collectors are smart and they can find the loopholes, they can find ways around things. Like you can set up a system and it's almost like they just hack the system or something. So it's been really kind of like difficult because there's always people that are going to have like access to exhibitor badges somehow, and there's always going to be people that somehow get like that leg up on the competition. So trying to keep it fair, because like to me fair would be the time that you spent means that you get the exclusive. Like if you are the one, you're first in line, you should be the one that gets it, and not the person that just like showed up 5 minutes ago with an exhibitor badge and then they swapped the badge for an attendee badge to make it look like they, like they've been in line or something. So it's been really it's a little difficult because people are not shy when something goes wrong. So every show there's always been at least one complaint, and I don't mean complaint like a negative thing. I mean like it's valid, because if I were in their shoes, I would be upset too. So there's always been some, we'll call it notes. Some notes about like, oh, well, this person cut, or that person, I'm pretty sure they're a flipper, or that person, I'm pretty sure they're an exhibitor, but they swapped their badge, things like that. So, I always heard something, but this time I think I got it because it was WonderCon and I introduced a new system for that. And I think we finally got it, and there were zero complaints. Everybody was happy. Yes, victory. Because everyone was like, that seemed really fair because like, we waited in line and we were able to get it. And so like this final system, in case you didn't see it, I know you guys covered it, but just in case anybody didn't catch it, what we did was I did badge ribbons, which if you haven't seen them, it's kind of like flare, the way people put pins on their lanyards. Badge ribbons are little sticky ribbons that you can adhere to your actual badge, and it just makes it more fun. So I thought like maybe tying into that would be cool, because then that becomes another souvenir that the attendee gets to take away with them. So what I did was I created special badge ribbons that you can only get if you get one of these exclusives, and I put a sticker on it that specified not only what the exclusive was, but also the number in the edition that they were going to get. So once they had that badge ribbon in hand, they knew knew they were guaranteed to get it as long as they picked it up that same day. And, you know, once the show ended, then that was my cutoff. And I was like, okay, you know, if there's leftovers, then it'll be first come, first serve tomorrow, which everybody agreed was fair. Because I do try and bounce ideas like, you know, off the community, like in my Discord or Twitch or social media. It could be because like that's who it's for. So they should be the ones to voice opinions, and I'm going to listen to it. And so, yeah, everybody was happy with that. And, you know, people were like, I think just having that little extra too was kind of nice too. But yeah, I think something like that would be perfect for, you know, shows the size of WonderCon. San Diego is going to be a completely different thing. And I'm already in discussion with one of their heads to see like what I can and cannot do. And I'm still waiting to hear back on that. But, you know, again, I'm going to try at least for the low LE things. I want to try and keep it fair. I think if it's a larger edition, then first come, first serve is perfectly fine. Even if like the exhibitors and flippers come first, like there's still plenty left for everyone. But the smaller ones, smaller editions, like the, you know, hand cast Soonay figures where it's not that many, like that's the ones where we want to take extra care. And I think like it's important for the overall experience for collectors.
Yeah.
Priscilla, I was just going to say that it sounds like you're very in tune with your community, which is awesome. And I understand that you hold an in-person event or a little get-together the past few years at the Bayfront Bar. How would you say the vibe of that is different compared to just talking to your community on the show floor?
I would say well, on the show floor at San Diego specifically, it's just nonstop. Like I mean, I hate to say it's transactional, but it almost feels like, you know, you're just trying to get people through because, you know, their time is valuable too. So you're just trying to get people checked out. You don't really get a chance to like talk very much, you know, until like the line dies down. And then if there's nobody, then you can actually interact with people a little bit. But, you know, those first like at least couple of hours of the show when everybody's there to shop, everyone has their missions, everyone's in line, like, and you know, you don't want them to like have to wait too long because, you know, they need to go on and go do their other missions. So like that's kind of the vibe that you get like on the show floor, very different. So the meetup is like a really nice kind of separate thing where you actually can like interact with each other. You can talk, like, you know, you can take pictures and people can do like their trades and stuff, what, you know, and just hang out and have a good time, get a drink together, and just kind of relax. And I guess maybe that's the key difference. It's a relaxed experience versus on the show floor when it is just go, go, go. So yeah.
Absolutely. So, is there anything you can tease for San Diego this year?
I was like thinking about this because I do have some stuff in hand.
And you're allowed to say no. I do want to preface with that. But if you
know what,
like, if there's anything you want to tease, like tell us or.
I mean, the thing is, I have a couple things in hand already, so I could maybe show you guys something. Wait, what do you think? Should I go grab it?
I think it's up to you. Like, we're not going to make that decision for you.
Let me put it this way. If you want to show it, we will gladly view it.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll grab a couple things. One will be an exclusive. Okay. One will be a debut.
Okay. All right. Exciting.
All right. So I'll show the exclusive first. And actually, like, I haven't even opened it yet. So it'll be like an experience for all of us at the same time. Okay, so
I'm gonna open your own exclusive.
Yeah, you can some ASMR here. Okay, so this is how many did I order? I want to say LE 100 maybe. But because it was unexpected last year, the wallet was like I was surprised at how quickly it sold out. So people
the wallet was great.
So we've got this one. Wow, if the green screen will, if I hold it here, you can kind of see it. So it's a different colorway of last year's artwork. And I will tease that there is going to be new San Diego artwork this year, and it's already in production. It's finished in production, but this is last year's artwork on a wallet, different colorway. And just like the other wallets, you know, it has a nice little like coin purse area and all of that. So this is going to be, I think it is LE100. So this is going to be one. And I haven't even like sent these off to Mike yet for logo approval. So this is like how early, this is like like infancy stages right now. The other thing is a debut. I'm only going to show the debut version. I do have the exclusive in hand, but I'm going to wait to show that.
Yep.
So if you remember last year, I did my first deck of playing cards. It was a bird themed deck. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I want to do another deck. But I want it to be fish themed. So this is, see, I'm not good at, like, I'm not a hand model here. Okay. So this is called Fins and Scales. And I just got these like a day or two ago. Like I just opened these. So this is the debut of a new card deck. So there is different artwork for, let's see if we can see. So we've got like the Joker, which is of course a clownfish.
Cool.
And then it's just like some different fishes. See, it's hard to do this backwards, but yeah, I don't know if you can see. This is a teaser, so if you don't really see it, that's okay. See it in your hearts, you guys.
No, those are fun. That's awesome.
So yeah, so it's exciting. I mean, these card projects, they're so time consuming. It's always like a huge undertaking. But yeah, I'm excited. I think they turned out great. So excited to debut those. And there is an exclusive variant, but again, I'm going to save that for later. So hopefully that's a good little like a little teaser there. You guys got the first looks.
Yes, absolutely. And we do actually have a live chat going, and everybody seems very excited by it. So
yeah, I love the colors on that wallet.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's
great.
Little kind of cyberpunk colors.
We do have a reader question for you. Night Bodega asked, what has been your most memorable con event?
Well, I mean, like you can't not say San Diego. I mean, yeah, it's got to be San Diego. There's nothing else. Like as we talked about before.
Is there like a particular year or memory that really stands out?
Let's see. I mean, of course, like the first time I ever exhibited in Artist Alley was just incredible. Like that was just like it's mind-blowing when you go to a show and become such a fan of a show that it's almost like the show itself becomes a celebrity to you. So suddenly being part of it, like, it's so magical, and suddenly being like, I'm part of this magic is like such a feeling. So I think that's memorable. But there's also been like, previous years, there's 1 year when Funko was doing, actually a couple years where they did their pop-up shops. Remember when they had Funko South that was downtown? So there was 1 year I did the line for that with some friends, and that kind of broke me. It was a 3-day, 2-night line. Like people say camping out and they mean like 2 hours. No, 3 days, 2 nights. No. And it was crazy. Like I never slept on a sidewalk before. And like trying to do that was difficult, especially when like ladies of the night were walking past you and stepping over you and saying like, what is going on? And like you're being judged by like, it's like what have I done in my life that has led me to this point? But yeah, so there was that. And then let's see. So you know how sometimes there's those like special invite only parties where you're always like, oh, how do I get into those? Like the ones that like the celebrities are at. Well, one of my friends who is a big artist, Kevin Tong, if you guys know him. Yeah. So he was doing like a bunch of posters for like all these different movies and stuff. And this was a while ago. He got invited to one of the parties and invited me to go as his +1, which was amazing. It was just like, there was an open bar, and it was, I think it was like a Mythbusters party. So they had like the cast there. And the funny moment was that like, it was really loud because, it's in a bar, it's loud. And I see just like this dude come up, and he was talking to my friend for a while. And I was just standing there kind of spacing out because I didn't know what they were talking about. Guy walks away. Later on, I figure out that was Guillermo del Toro that I was spacing out on. because I didn't know what he looks like. That's so cute. And I actually have a picture from that night where me and my friend are like, taking pictures with one of the Mythbusters guy, and then Guillermo del Toro is right behind us. Oh my gosh.
Well, look, you got a photo with Guillermo del
I
Toro,
did,
even if you didn't do it on purpose.
Technically is the best way.
Hey,
Oh no.
whatever works.
That's why, just be
All
nice
right.
to everyone, you guys. You never know if it's Guillermo del Toro. That's the lesson. If you're going to take away one lesson from this episode, it might be Guillermo del Toro.
There you go. Well, we love talking to you, Priscilla, because we know you're a fan and we're obviously fans as well. So this is always fun. But before we have you hop off, why don't you tell our readers where they can find you online?
Oh, so I'm all over social media. It's at Valor and Vellum. I mean, you guys are always gracious enough to give me an article whenever it's WonderCon or San Diego Comic-Con, so you can probably find me on there. And then I also have my own website. It's valorandvellum.com. I try and keep it like semi-updated, but honestly, like social media might be probably the better option. I also have my own Discord, and if anybody was interested, like you can reach out on Twitter and I can give you one of the invite links. And it's a super nice community. I see some of the people in the community like here in the chat, which is awesome, like super supportive. Everyone helps each other out. So, if you're looking for that kind of group, then I would recommend joining the Discord. And then occasionally, whenever I have time, you can also find me on Twitch. Either doing like announcements, like showing, reveals and stuff, or, sometimes just hanging out and like, doing packaging or like drawings or something. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, we thank you so much for joining us, Priscilla, and we can't wait to see more of what you've got planned for San Diego.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm just such a big fan of you guys too, since probably 2008.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, we started in 2009. This is our 15th anniversary this year.
I stand corrected.
Yeah. So 15 years. Crazy.
Wow.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, Priscilla.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right. Well, we are going to stay on and do the news, starting with on Monday. We talked about this last week, but leading up to the convention, we kind of break down here are the TV shows and the movies that we think might be at the convention. So on Monday, we did the broadcast networks and we looked at that as far as like what could potentially be at the convention. And then tomorrow we'll wrap things up with the family networks. I actually always love writing those posts because it kind of forces me as well to like look at the schedules and be like, okay, this show comes out this time, like what are the odds they would be at Comic-Con? I will say things look a little bit bleak on the broadcast side, but you can go read the post. So
well, that leads us to the next item, which is that Funko Fan Rewards Program offers San Diego Comic-Con 2024 perks. So Funko has a rewards program. It's free to sign up for, and it gives you points for performing certain actions, such as watching videos, following their accounts on social media, and so forth. So they are offering through their rewards program some Comic-Con perks. So such as you can enter several sweepstakes, including front-of-the-line booth access to Funko's main booth in Funkville. There are 8 spots up for grabs each day on Thursday through Saturday of the convention. If you win, you'll be able to head straight to the front of Funko's booth on the day of your winning to purchase your items. Though availability is obviously never guaranteed, you must also already have a San Diego Comic-Con badge. So it costs 100 points per entry. So if you're already accumulating those points, maybe you can throw some toward this, and you have between now and June 16th to enter.
yes.
But you can also, sorry, go ahead, Carrie.
You're good. Keep going.
Oh, I was going to say, you can also bypass all that and send in a postcard. So there's details for that on their terms of service at the bottom of any of their sweepstake options.
And you can also enter for Fun Days. And what did we learn about Fun Days, James?
Oh, Fun Days. Well, we we don't really know much else except for if you want to be guaranteed to go, there's a digital drop from Drop with extra P's of Funko's Pirate Freddy Fun of One. It's going to be around $8,500 apparently, but if you own that digital asset on July 17th at 11 a.m. Pacific time, you will get 2 tickets to Fun Days. But
we in a different Fun Days article, because I got confused on which one you had. We also learned that Fun Days will for sure be Friday and Saturday nights. So
yeah, okay.
Yes,
That's
we
good.
got confirmation of that. Yes.
Nice.
So we know the dates now, and yes, you can enter that as well, and the sweepstakes that Robert was telling everybody about. Also on our website, if you are interested in commissions, definitely go check out our post. We have tons of great artists. In fact, just today, Andy added James Silvani, who we love and who wasn't at the convention last year. So we say this every year, but commissions are a fantastic way to get a fun, truly exclusive souvenir from the convention, because a commission is its original art meant just for you, and you can ask somebody to draw what you want. So good times. We also had several offsites announced. A lot of these are kind of tangentially related. So if you are in town early on Friday, July 19th at the Rady Shell, there is a Field of Dreams in concert by the San Diego Symphony. And then on Sunday before the convention as well, Ben Platt is doing a concert about 15 minutes away. Nerd Night is going to be back this year, but it's definitely not like the Nerd Nights of old. This one will be on Thursday of the con week, but it will be at the Kensington Club, which is about a 12-minute drive from the Gas Lamp. And it's my understanding that I don't believe National Geographic is involved. So it'll be more like a normal nerd night. But I know that event has a lot of fans. Afrofuturism is also back. It will also be on Thursday from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then if you enjoy comedy, actress and comedian Heather McDonald who's best known for her Netflix special, I Don't Mean to Brag, will be performing a comedy show on Saturday night at Humphreys by the Bay, which is not too far. So some smaller offsites, but if you don't have a badge for one night, or you're looking for something to do, or you're in town early, there are definitely some options.
All right,
and then
exclusives?
Yes, let's talk exclusives. So up first, I love this vendor. I mean, who doesn't love Falmouth Birds? So Effin' Birds is back this year, and their first exclusive of the year is, what they're doing. Their first exclusive of the year is, if you're watching live, we've got a slide up. They're going to do 2 Hawaiian shirts. One is an actual exclusive, which is the Eat Farts deck one. And then the other print that's on the screen, if you're watching, is a really popular Hawaiian shirt that they've done that sells out instantly pretty much every time they put it online. But they will have both of those shirts at San Diego Comic-Con. Again, one is actually exclusive to the con, one is not, but it's hard to get your hands on it. So those will be available in sizes extra small to 3XL.
So next up is Beeline Creative. So they're known for their geeky tikis, and I believe they already announced a previous Star Wars one of Watto. But this time around, they have a Jar Jar Binks exclusive geeky tiki. So that will be limited to 500 pieces, and you'll be able to find Beeline Creative in the Lucasfilm Pavilion.
Before we move on to the next slide, James, I just want to say, look, I am probably the only person who actually loves Phantom Menace. But even I thought it was hysterical that Beeline Creative's photo of this, like, you don't see the front of this mug. You don't see Jar Jar. They're like, we're not even going to bother to show you Jar Jar. We're just going to show you the logo because that's all you kids really care about. I just thought that was funny. Like, we're not even going to show you the front of the mug. Anyway, Patrick is back as well this year with his first piece is a debut. It is an 11 by 14 piece titled Dragons Forever, and it is dedicated to the work of Akira Toriyama. And it's got all kinds of characters and fun little Easter eggs for all of his work. It will be available for $30 at his booth, and it's an open edition. So it should be up on his website after the convention as well.
And then lastly is yesterday's. So they announced and put up for pre-order their San Diego Comic-Con exclusive shirt and tote bag. So those are both available right now for pre-order for pickup at the convention. And the shirt retails for $30 and the tote for $25, or you can get a combination for $50 and save a few bucks. So you'll be able to find yesterday's at booth 1028. And I actually like the design of this shirt and tote bag.
I think it's their best one they've done, and I actually really like all the ones they've done. So yeah, I think it's great. And then real quick in the chat, Night Bodega mentioned another quote unquote offsite that we should definitely mention, which is that because Deadpool versus Wolverine comes out during the con, a lot of folks were grabbing tickets to see it on Thursday night. I think, at least like from what I was seeing online, it seemed like most of the first showings were already well sold out at pretty much all the local theaters, but I'm sure there'll be plenty more showings throughout the week. So if you are interested in seeing it that week, probably get on that. Okay, so in other exclusive news, JYKL Day is also back. He got in off the wait list, which we're super excited about. But the first thing that he showed off is a 3-inch sticker, which will be available free with purchase at the booth while supplies last. You can go check that out on the site. And then we have plenty of other news on the website and under the tents, which we've been getting out a couple of times a week. And as we get closer to the convention, that will speed up.
Yeah, you know the news is really picking up when you get under the tents daily.
Or no, it's like real bad when it's twice a day.
No, twice a day means
Yeah.
you're like, okay, it's in like 2 weeks, right? That's when twice a day.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Let's talk about Jermaine Cervantes said, with Deadpool and Wolverine coming out SDCC week, have you heard any news / whispers about premiere events around the con? So, I mean, the short answer is no, we haven't heard any whispers. But I mean, I put my thoughts in the movie post and you can go read it there. But what do you guys think? Like, what do we think the odds are here? I mean, I could give my thoughts if nobody else wants to speak.
Robert, what do you think?
I think we'll at least, there's got to be a good chance of just something even small, right? Like some sort of presence. I'd be willing to at least put money on that, right?
Yeah. I mean,
James?
we've talked about this a little bit, but I don't see Ryan Reynolds giving up a chance to do something crazy or big or just stupidly funny and small that he can record and put on his YouTube channel. I mean, there's a whole range of things that can happen, and I feel like something has to happen. Just something.
Totally. So one of the knocks against it is, well, there's 2 knocks against it, basically. One is that week of the convention is typically considered too late for promo. So that's the main argument for it not coming. The other is that there's not a lot of places anymore that you could really do a screening, but we do have obviously Hall H and we do have the Rady Shell. So there are at least 2 options. It's just that all of our actual downtown theaters have closed. but again, there are other options. But I'm with you guys. Like, I feel like surely they will do something. I mean, look at Deadpool 2. Like, for the freaking Blu-ray, not even the movie itself, but the Blu-ray, like, they came that year. That was when they did the toilet seat covers that everybody loved. That was when they did the like Chuck E. Cheese type animatronics at the booth. And like, that was for a freaking Blu-ray. Like, surely if the movie is coming out the week of the convention, we're going to get something, right? Surely.
Yeah. Like I said, Ryan Reynolds is like, he's just the type to do something just because he feels like doing it. And so I feel like he's gonna do something. It could be just him walking around in costume, like he dressed as Wolverine, like Night Bodega says in the chat, like walk around as Wolverine and just film stuff for fun.
Yeah.
Just so he can have something to put up, that night or a couple days later to edit it together and have something awesome. Be like, hey, look what happened at Comic-Con this weekend. Why haven't you gone see the movie yet? Kind of a thing.
Yep, absolutely. So again, we don't know anything, and I definitely see the argument against it, but I think surely they will do something. So
yeah,
surely. Okay. Do we have any other news or reader questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, don't forget that you can sign up to be our attendee of the week on our website. We feature a new attendee every Friday, even if you have applied before, or even if you've won before and been featured before. We have some new questions this year, so you are totally fine to resubmit. And then if you appreciate the work that we do, don't forget that we also have a Patreon, and you can find the information about that on our site. All the money goes back into the site, including helping to host our party, which I don't even remember if I said last week, but it is for sure coming back on Sunday night. Again, I did, because again, Sean, if you were listening, I'm very sorry. Just gonna keep apologizing to Sean specifically every week. Sorry, Sean. But it will be back on Sunday night, and we're looking forward to it. And we've got some really fun ideas that James and Robert have no idea about. So
nice.
Yeah.
We get to be surprised along with everybody else.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I think that's going to wrap it up for today. So thank you again to Priscilla for coming on and talking to us. You can check back in next week. We'll have more news and exclusives, and of course, another guest. And who is next week's guest, Carrie? You're like, I don't know. Who is it? Who could it be?
It is going to be Jonah Keel of 42 West Fandoms and Franchises. 42 West Fandom and Franchises are a PR and communications group that have done a lot of really fun things at the convention. They help put together the fandom party every year. They've got some great clients, including Funko and Funko Games, and a whole bunch of other folks. We're going to be talking to them next week kind of about like the behind the scenes of putting together fun parties at Comic-Con and how to promote your clients at the convention. So it'll be fun.
Some of the inner workings that most people don't get to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
So it's going to be a good chat.
All right. And do we have a newsletter?
We do have a newsletter. You can sign up for it in the footer of our website. We will start sending it out in June.
Okay. All right. So thank you again for joining us. And Robert, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
Both. Do we say Twitter, X? What do we?
We call it Twitter. With? We never
Twitter.
say
Twitter.
Okay, Twitter.
Nope.
So Twitter, Instagram at Legion of Sand, and I'm at Phoenix Fan Fusion this weekend, so I'll be tweeting way too much if that's your thing. But yeah, you can find me there. Well, Carrie, where can we find your work on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Carrie Dixon. But as we get closer to the convention, I'm not really on there. So you can find me on the blog, Twitter, or you can send me an email. James, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I am everywhere online at Dan Regal, and you can check out the Citizens of Lorcana, where I talk every week about the new Disney trading card game. And also thank you to Beth, our producer, for editing the show and creating the slides and getting this into your ears. So yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. We are on iTunes. If you'd like to subscribe, the links are up in the blog, or you can search for SDConCast. If you like what you've heard so far, please review us. We are also on Stitcher Radio and Spotify, and the links are in the show notes.
If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at info@sdccblog.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sdconblog. or tweet us at SD_comic_con. Thank you all for listening, and everybody go
Shawarma.
All right, let's go.